Chapter 1311. As soon as he returned to the hospital, Benjamin saw Bradley coming out of the ward. On seeing the former, Bradley became startled. "Mr. Graham." There was an instinctive tremor in Bradley's voice, like he had done something wrong. Benjamin narrowed his eyes, which glinted sharply. "What brings you here so late?" "Nothing much," Bradley answered with a dry chuckle. "I just brought some food for the boss. I'm heading back now." Without another word, Bradley dashed off. Benjamin's eyes flickered as he stared at the fleeing figure as if watching a criminal. Sweating profusely, Bradley only dared stop to catch his breath once he was inside the elevator. Benjamin entered the ward. Orissa smiled when she saw him. "That was fast," she remarked. Benjamin arched an eyebrow. "Were you hoping that I would take my time?" Orissa stared at him, not quite knowing what to say when she detected his unusual tone. "Why are you acting so weird?" Benjamin glanced at her. "What is Bradley doing here so late?" he asked bluntly. Orissa giggled as she realized how dramatic he was. Of all the things she could have said, she playfully retorted, "What else?" "He came to see me." Benjamin's brows furrowed in displeasure. Why couldn't he visit any other time? Why did he have to sneak around just when I happened not to be there? "What are you implying, Benjamin?" Orissa was upset. He had crossed the line. "What am I implying? He looked guilty as soon as he saw me." Even the sight of Bradley irritated Benjamin. Orissa scoffed. "Could you be projecting your own guilt onto others that you see it in them?" "I was the one who called Bradley." She was so angry that she refused to say another word to Benjamin. Turning her back to him, she pulled the blanket over her head. Benjamin stared at the woman under the blanket, feeling an immense weight suffocating him. "I spoiled her so much that she even dared raise her voice at me. With so much conviction, too." Turning around, Benjamin left the ward to smoke. Noticing his ashen expression, the bodyguard at the door did not dare utter a word. Orissa grew more upset when she heard him leave. As her annoyance simmered, a discomfort began to stir in her belly, giving rise to a sense of injustice. Does Benjamin really not trust me? What a lunatic he is to think I would get involved with Bradley in such a dirty way. Orissa took a few deep breaths, trying to regain her calm. She promised herself not to let him provoke her. After a good while, her belly finally started to feel better. Benjamin had not returned yet. She threw open the quilt and stared fixedly at the door. He just left like that. Sean arrived and found Benjamin savoring a cigarette. After observing the latter for a while, he noticed that something was off. "Did you have a fight with Orissa?" Sean asked cautiously. Benjamin took a large drag and exhaled a cloud of smoke. His handsome face darkened with gloom. Sean glanced at him, sensing that his guess was right. "Everything was fine. How did you end up arguing?" "Orissa might be a little irritable now that she is pregnant. You should be more accommodating to avoid upsetting her. After all, you would be the one who'd feel sorry if anything happened to her." "When did you see me feeling sorry for her?" Benjamin shot him a sideways glare. Sean blinked. He suppressed a smile. "As long as you're sure you're not." "So, what are you fighting about?" "The child." Benjamin pressed his lips together. The stifled feeling in his chest did not seem to go away. After a moment, he said quietly, "Do you think women should not be pampered?" Sean did not dare speak carelessly. He stroked his nose. "I asked her why she called Bradley, and she got mad at me first." Sean's eyes twinkled for a moment as if he had caught onto something. He smiled. "I see. You're jealous." A vein throbbed on Benjamin's temple. He shot a glare at his assistant, clearly annoyed. "You must not have asked her nicely. If you did, she wouldn't have been upset." In spite of himself, Sean was amused by the sight of how irritated Benjamin still was. "He's even jealous of Bradley. How absurd. In what way is this guy better than you that you think Orissa would prefer him over you, boss?" Chapter 1312. "If I were her, I'd be upset too if you questioned me like this. It shows that you don't trust her." Sean's enthusiasm grew as he spoke. Only when he met Benjamin's penetrating gaze did he finally fall silent. Benjamin put his cigarette out and gazed into the distant night, lost in thought. In truth, only he knew how worried he was about the woman in the ward, yet he found it hard to swallow his pride and go in. Sean examined his gloomy aura, hesitated for a moment, and ultimately walked away. I'm going to visit Orissa. Benjamin did not object. He thought it prudent for Sean to do so as she was not all well yet. His going and being upset with her would only add to her troubles. Benjamin gritted his teeth in frustration as he blamed himself. He was beginning to regret speaking to her that way. Benjamin's gaze followed Sean intently, looking toward the direction of the ward. Upon hearing the sound of the door opening, a smile of joy spread across Orissa's lips, which faded into disappointment when she saw that the person entering was Sean. She chided herself. What was I expecting? He's long gone. Though the shift in her expression was fleeting, Sean noticed it. Why aren't you asleep, Orissa? He asked with concern. Are you waiting for Benjamin? No, I'm not. I just slept too much during the day, and now I can't fall asleep. Orissa denied stubbornly. It is exasperating yet amusing to see both husband and wife being so stubborn. I saw him outside smoking alone when I came. He was quite worried about you. Orissa was taken aback by Sean's words. He was smoking outside. Oddly enough, she found her mood improved upon learning that he had not left. Exactly. Sean nodded before asking casually, how are you feeling, Orissa? Orissa hesitated for a moment, choosing her next words carefully. I had a bit of a stomachache, but it's gone now. Sean's expression turned grave. Why didn't you call for me? I'm telling Benjamin. Hey, I'm fine now, Orissa called out, but Sean ignored her. Orissa isn't feeling well, boss. You need to take her for a checkup. Sean called out toward Benjamin as he stood at the door. Benjamin's expression shifted at once. He hurried over, looking flustered. Are you feeling unwell? Orissa felt a stir in her heart when she saw how worried he looked. She had intended to give him the cold shoulder, but his concern moved her. My belly hurt a little earlier, she responded softly. Why didn't you say so? Benjamin scooped her up in his arms, turned around, and headed for the door. His features were fraught with anxiety. Orissa glanced at the nervous man, pursed her lips, and muttered under her breath, you weren't even here. Benjamin lowered his gaze and gave her an apologetic look. It was my fault for angering you. Orissa felt the weight lifted off her chest. I'm not in pain anymore, she comforted him. Slow down. Benjamin was about to break into a run with her in his arms. Sean followed behind the couple. Noticing that Orissa appeared normal, he was not too worried. Only Benjamin remained anxious. Benjamin slowed down. Holding her firmly, they headed to the examination room. Sean personally made the arrangements for Orissa to have an ultrasound at once. Fortunately, there was nothing wrong with her. It doesn't appear to be anything serious, likely just emotional fluctuations that have caused the fetus to stir. Try to be upbeat, Orissa. Remain calm instead of getting angry. This stage is a crucial time not only for Orissa but also for the baby, boss. Don't go stirring up trouble and upsetting her for no reason. If there's something you need to discuss, do it calmly and try to accommodate her as much as possible. Sean took the opportunity to lecture Benjamin, who, far from showing impatience, listened in meek silence. Orissa breathed a sigh of relief upon learning that her child was fine. Can I go home tomorrow? Sean glanced at her, then at Benjamin. He decided to leave the decision to the latter. Let's stay in the hospital for a few more days, honey, Benjamin coaxed gently, taking her hand. If it weren't for me, she could have been discharged. But I'm fine now. Orissa did not wish to spend another night at the hospital. The prolonged stay made her feel restless. Chapter 1313. With a light sigh, Benjamin gently stroked her head, his voice tender and indulgent as he said, let's wait until tomorrow. If you don't feel unwell anywhere, we'll go home. It's better to go along with her wishes, to avoid upsetting her, which wouldn't be good for her condition. Orissa looked at him and nodded slightly. Benjamin turned his head to ask Sean, do we need to conduct any other examinations? We just need to finish this one. There's no need to do the others. We'll take a sample of her blood first thing tomorrow morning, Sean reminded them. Benjamin nodded, bent down to pick up Orissa. Let's head back now, honey. Sure. Orissa complied, wrapping her arms around his neck. She then said to Sean, "We're heading back to the ward now, Mr. Bailey. You can carry on with your work." Seeing the couple's relationship had significantly improved, Sean was visibly relieved and even teased Benjamin by saying, "Get some rest early. Oh, and, do try to let her have her way, Benjamin. Wouldn't want to upset her now." Benjamin didn't respond. Orissa, on the other hand, seemed a bit embarrassed and blushed. Benjamin carried her back to the ward, gently laid her down on the hospital bed, and adjusted the head of the bed to a higher position. "I'll bring you some water to wipe you down," he said before turning around and entering the restroom. Orissa watched him go about preparing the water. When he came over to wipe her face, she stared at him and asked, "Are you still angry?" Benjamin paused his hand for a moment, then continued wiping as he said in a soft and gentle voice, "Nope." With a small sense of joy in her heart, Orissa continued to explain, "Bradley is like family to me. I feel a familial bond with him, nothing more. Stop fussing over it all the time. I called him over in the evening because I had something to discuss. I wanted him to help me keep an eye on the York family. Why didn't you tell me about this?" Benjamin's brows furrowed. "Does she not trust me?" Noticing his displeasure, Orissa said softly, "You're always so busy, so I didn't want to give you any more stress." Benjamin snorted. "I can have my men keep an eye on them. It's a lot easier than him doing it himself." Orissa chuckled softly, agreeing, "Yes, but I don't want to tire you out." Benjamin felt considerably relieved at heart. What was he feeling guilty about when he left? He found this quite strange, his gaze intensely fixed on her. Orissa stared at his tense, handsome face. Does he not realize how intimidating his presence can be? Putting Bradley aside, even I felt a sense of fear deep down when I saw him before getting to know him. He's probably just scared of you, that's all. Also, I did tell him to keep it a secret, so it's only natural that he'd get startled when you suddenly returned. He's not the only one who is afraid of you, by the way. Sometimes, I'm scared of you too." Benjamin's eyebrows knitted together tightly as he stared at her in displeasure. "You're afraid of me? Just look at yourself. Who wouldn't be scared of you?" Orissa replied while pointing a finger at him. She wished she had a mirror to show him his own reflection. Benjamin paused for a moment, adjusting the expression on his face, which became significantly gentler. Orissa tried to give him some advice by saying, "Don't look so solemn all the time. Smile more, and we won't be afraid of you." Benjamin raised an eyebrow and glanced at her as he retorted, "Didn't you tell me not to smile at others casually?" Orissa fell silent for a brief moment before replying, "Then you could ease up on the stern look on your face and soften it a bit. That way, people will feel comfortable getting closer to you." Benjamin haughtily huffed, "I don't need to do that." Orissa was truly at a loss for words, but she was relieved that the small misunderstanding had been cleared up, so she didn't say anything further. Benjamin glanced at her and continued to wipe her body down. "Do you feel any discomfort?" Orissa shook her head, cooperating as he wiped. He had done it countless times before, so she wasn't that embarrassed about it anymore. "I'm sorry, honey." Benjamin sincerely apologized to her, his handsome face filled with guilt. Orissa glanced at him. He was apologizing again even though he had already apologized earlier. Seeing as he wasn't as impulsive or hot-tempered as before, she replied, "I forgive you." Benjamin's eyes lit up when he heard that. Chapter 1314. Orissa exchanged a smile with him, reached out, and playfully grabbed Benjamin's shirt collar as she threatened him with a mischievous grin. "If you dare misunderstand my relationship with others in the future and refuse to listen to my explanations, I won't forgive you as easily as I did today. I will take the children and hide far away from you." "All right." Benjamin knew he was in the wrong, so he agreed with her. "If she hides, I'll just find her and apologize to her." Orissa looked at him, her heart filled with confusion. Why is he being so agreeable? What do you mean by, "all right"? With a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth, Benjamin leaned in, his forehead gently touching hers. In a soft voice, he said, "I'll listen to your explanation next time." Orissa huffed assertively. "That's more like it." Despite what she was demanding of Benjamin, she never allowed him to explain himself when faced with a similar situation. Instead, she got so consumed by jealousy that she made a fool of herself. After Benjamin had wiped her clean and helped her change into clean clothes, he lowered the head of the hospital bed. "Your clothes are wet too. Go take a shower," Orissa reminded him when she noticed the water droplets on his clothes. "I've already showered at home, so I simply need to change my clothes." Benjamin told her that it had only been an hour since he left home and he hadn't broken a sweat. Despite being a clean freak, Benjamin decided to only change his clothes instead of showering again. Orissa smiled and asked, "Did you shower with the kids?" As Benjamin was changing his clothes, he glanced at her and said, "They can shower on their own, so I showered in our bedroom." Orissa's gaze fell upon his muscular physique, unable to look away for even a moment. "Oh, I see, you should help them shower, you know. Don't act all superior in front of them. Try to be more approachable. They wanted to compete with me to see who could shower faster. That's why we didn't shower together." Bathing the children was not a problem for him as he used to bathe Gavin as well. Orissa smiled and asked curiously, "Let me guess. You were the fastest, right?" She had witnessed how fast he could shower. He was so fast that he could finish showering within 2 minutes. Benjamin slipped into his pajamas, a smile playing on his thin lips as he walked over. "You guessed wrong. The kids were faster than me. They had already finished showering and were waiting for me by the time I came out." Orissa burst into laughter and said, "You definitely went easy on them, didn't you?" Benjamin laid down on his side, affectionately brushing her nose as he replied, "I just wanted to let them have their fun." "So, you want to be a doting father now?" Orissa teased him. Benjamin looked at her and explained, "You are the kind mother, and I am the strict father. But you will only discipline them at night. They won't be able to sleep well if I treat them sternly at night." Orissa thought so as well. "Have they gone to sleep when you left the house?" "Nope," Benjamin replied. Orissa looked up at him, his joyful expression piqued her curiosity. Before she even asked, Benjamin told her, "Before I left, I had supper with them. The children saw me off." Orissa chuckled, looking at his cheerful demeanor. This man really is easily satisfied. She couldn't help but tease him. "Did you forget how you ran to the bathroom at night?" A twitch tugged at the corner of Benjamin's mouth as he gently pinched her cheek. "Can we not talk about this?" Orissa's eyes curved in amusement as she continued to tease him. "What, are you feeling shy now?" Benjamin turned off the light, pulled the blanket over them both, and declared, "Time to sleep." In the darkness, Orissa chuckled softly, wrapping her arms around his strong waist, her face pressed against his body. "Are you not busy today?" "Nope." Benjamin, with his long arms wrapped around her, gently caressed her slender waist. The touch was so enchanting that he couldn't get enough of it. Orissa shivered slightly as his familiar and captivating scent caused her heart to flutter uncontrollably. Benjamin lowered his gaze and focused on her delicate and beautiful face. The two of them were close, his breath brushing against her face, leaving her feeling pleasantly tingly. Orissa instinctively looked up and said, "You." She was cut off when Benjamin smothered her with a tender and passionate kiss. Chapter 1315. The next day, Regan arrived at the kids' school and waited for their arrival early on. As Orissa had predicted, Miranda told Regan about her encounter with the kids after she went home last night. Regan hid in a secluded corner to avoid catching the bodyguard's attention. His heart started to thump wildly as he saw how adorable the kids were getting out of the car and carrying their backpacks. Sextuplets. Issa actually gave birth to sextuplets back then. Orissa never told him that he had become a grandfather and even hid the kids from him, not allowing him to meet them. Regan felt a mixture of resentment and excitement toward Orissa and the kids. He grew very anxious when he saw that the kids were about to enter the gate. He was about to make his way over when he caught sight of Benjamin. He quickly retracted his steps and hid himself. He mustn't be seen by Benjamin as Benjamin was now under Orissa's directions. He needed to take his time. "Daddy's going back now. You guys should go in." Benjamin bent down and straightened the children's clothes in public. It was all reflected on their faces. Benjamin was undoubtedly their father. "Bye-bye, Daddy, Mr. Graham." The kids were warming up to him as they bade him goodbye in their sweet, childish voices. The kids felt guilty after the pranks they played on him last night. Their attitude toward Benjamin changed after seeing how he didn't reprimand them. "Bye," Benjamin said to the children gently. "Mr. Graham, you should hurry back and keep an eye on Mommy so she doesn't get into mischief." Zachary looked at him with a straight face. He didn't hold any grudge for being disciplined by Arissa. Benjamin gently patted his little head and nodded, saying, "All right." He stood up and gestured for the children to go in. "Go in." The kids smiled and waved goodbye before entering the school. Benjamin watched the kids by the school gate until they disappeared from sight. A gentle smile played on his lips as his face radiated with fatherly love. He waited until the kids were out of his sight before leaving. Regan peeked at the school gate. Even though Benjamin had left, his bodyguards were still there. Besides, the entrance was strictly guarded. The school wouldn't even allow parents to enter. He furrowed his brows as he pondered how to get in. After the first lesson, Jessie noticed an old man who kept smiling at her from time to time, which she found strange. She quickly told her brothers about it. "Zachary, look, that old man over there keeps staring and smiling at me." Zachary looked in the direction his sister, Jessie, was pointing. It was difficult to make out the man's facial features as he was standing quite far away and wearing a safety helmet. Regan had sneaked into the campus by pretending to be a janitor. He was thrilled when he saw that the kids had noticed him and began to make his way over. "He's coming," exclaimed Tim. He didn't know who Regan was. Gavin squinted his eyes as he stared at Regan. "He seems familiar." Oliver and Jasper exchanged looks and stared at Regan. It seems like we've seen him somewhere before." Zachary finally recognized Regan as he came closer and snorted coldly. "It's Regan York." The kids widened their eyes. They immediately knew who it was when they associated Regan's surname with their mother's. "How did he get in here?" Jasper asked with furrowed brows. "Didn't you see him wearing the janitor's uniform? I'm wondering how he found out where we were." Oliver stroked his chin, staring coldly into Regan's eyes. Gavin and Tim looked at Regan with furrowed brows, their faces full of hostility. Jessie glared at Regan, fuming. "What is he doing here? So annoying." Zachary sneered. "What else? He's trying to get closer to us." The kids exchanged looks and communicated through their eyes. They sat in a circle and paid no heed to Regan. Chapter 1316. Regan's gaze was glued to the kids as he strode over. The kids looked even more adorable up close in Regan's eyes. They looked so soft, angelic, and pale-skinned, reminding Regan of Arissa when she was young. "Hello there." Regan beamed as he stared at the kids. The kids paid him no mind as they continued to munch on their snacks. Regan didn't mind as he continued, "My sweethearts, I am your grandfather." At that moment, the kids turned and met Regan's gaze, causing Regan to choke up for a moment. He quickly returned to his senses, smiled, and struck up a friendly conversation. "Sweethearts, are you hungry? Should Grandpa go buy you something to eat?" "Who's your sweetheart? Don't call us that. We don't know you," Jasper retorted, clearly annoyed. Regan smiled warmly at him as if he hadn't heard Jasper's sarcastic remark. "I'm your grandfather, didn't your mommy tell you? Your mommy's name is Arissa, and I'm Regan, I'm your mommy's father. Mommy told us her father is long gone." Oliver adjusted his glasses and mocked Regan. "How could your mom talk like that?" Regan was fuming. "How dare she curse me?" Regan quickly composed himself and pretended not to mind when he saw the kids glaring at him in indignation. He flashed them a friendly smile and said, "Your mommy must still be mad at me. I don't blame you. Look, I brought you some candy." Regan pulled a lollipop from his janitor's uniform pocket and offered it to the kids. The kids furrowed their brows and glared at him. None of them took the candy. Zachary sneered, "Bad people always try to trick kids with candy." After being continuously berated by the kids, Regan was seething with anger. He blamed it all on Arissa as he questioned how she had raised her children. None of them showed any respect for their elders. "How could I be a bad person? I'm your grandpa." I apologize for not knowing about you before. But look, I came over as soon as I found out where you were studying. Can you forgive Grandpa, please? Regan put down his pride and started to coax the kids. Unfortunately, Gavin and the others were not buying it. You're not our grandfather. Stop claiming that. We won't eat your candy. Tim huffed. Who knows what might be inside it? How can this person be good to us when he's not even nice to our mother? We're afraid that eating your candy will give us a stomachache. Gavin snorted coldly. Regan's face shifted, but he continued to coax the kids. These are just lollipops. How could they possibly give you a tummy ache? They're all clean. Come on, 2 for each of you. He pulled Jess's hand and stuffed 2 into it, but Jessie immediately threw them back. I don't want your candy. I have my own. Jessie hid behind her siblings, pulled a piece of candy from her pocket, unwrapped it, and popped it into her mouth. Keep the candies for yourself. We don't want any. Zachary stood up, showing strong disdain. We're heading back to class. Gavin and the others promptly stood up and ran toward the classroom. Hey, wait. Regan couldn't stop them no matter how much he shouted. The kids disappeared in a flash. Did they hate me that much? Brats taught by that rebellious girl. Regan was fuming mad. He was on the verge of tossing the candy in his hand into the trash can. However, he couldn't bring himself to do it as he noticed a child staring at him. He walked over and asked, Little one, do you know who they are? The child nodded timidly. I'm their grandfather, and we're having a bit of a tiff. Could you do me a favor? Could you give these candies to them? I'll give you 2 as a thank you. Chapter 1317. When the little kid offered the candy to Gavin and the others, they were all left speechless. They truly didn't expect Regan to stop at nothing, even going so far as to bribe children. We don't want that. You can take it all away. Gavin and his siblings were in agreement. They didn't want to eat what Regan had offered. Instead, they passed it all to the little kid. The child was overjoyed, saying thank you as he kept them all in his own backpack. He was so excited that he even snuck in a snack during class. Is that lollipop delicious? Jessie curiously murmured, watching the little kid enjoying it and feeling a bit tempted. Do you want it? Jasper turned to glare at her, thinking the girl was about to be bribed by Regan. Jessie scrunched up her nose and explained in a hushed voice, I do want it, but I can't eat something bought by the bad guy. Zachary patted the girl's head gently and said softly, I'll buy one for you after school. Jess's eyes lit up with excitement, and she clapped her hands without making a sound. Thank you, Zachary. Zachary smiled and ruffled her hair. The siblings then focused on their lessons and didn't pay much attention to anything else. As for Regan, whether he stayed or left was none of their concern. At the hospital, Orissa was waiting for the results of her blood tests. If everything was fine, she could go home. Benjamin noticed her occasionally glancing at the door, looking anxious. He sighed in helplessness. You rest well. I'll tell you when the results come out. Orissa glanced at him teasingly. Are you trying to trick me into sleeping and making me stay longer in the hospital? Benjamin chuckled, half exasperated, his eyes fixed on her. Even if I were trying to trick you, it would only be for a few extra hours. Is that necessary? Orissa snorted lightly. She endured until late in the evening around 10 when her blood test results finally arrived. Sean came personally to tell them that everything was normal. I told you, I'm fine. Benjamin, hurry up and pack. We're going home. Orissa was overjoyed and urged her husband to pack their belongings and leave the hospital. Benjamin shook his head, getting up to pack their things. Sean watched them with a smile and advised, even though you can leave the hospital, you still need to rest at home. If you feel uncomfortable anywhere, make sure to come to the hospital for a checkup. You're coming with us to Yaleview. Benjamin turned to Sean and informed him. Sean's mouth twitched, protesting, Benjamin, now that Orissa's condition has stabilized, I have work to do at the hospital. I can come to your place for routine checkups in the mornings and evenings, there's no need for me to be there all the time. The main reason was that in Yaleview, he would have to witness the loving relationship between the married couple all the time, which was quite a blow to a single man like him. He was adamant about not going to Yaleview. Yeah, I'm fine now. Let Mr. Bailey focus on his work. Morning checkups will suffice. There's no need for him to follow me around, Orissa added. Orissa also tried to convince Benjamin that there were household staff at home, so there was no need for so many people to stay with her. Benjamin scoffed in response, reluctantly agreeing. Benjamin, I can help you pack. Sean offered cheerfully, eager to lend a hand. Benjamin had already packed Orissa's personal items and immediately put Sean to work. You can pack those things over there. Sean smiled sheepishly but didn't dare to slack off. He efficiently started packing. Orissa watched the man who stood to the side and directed Sean's work, feeling both amused and exasperated. You can help Mr. Bailey pack too. That way, it'll be faster. Benjamin glanced at her and handed her a coat, then instructed the bodyguard to watch over Sean while he carried Orissa away. We're heading back, Mr. Bailey. Thank you for everything. Orissa felt a bit embarrassed and quickly said goodbye to Sean. Orissa, if anyone bothers you, make sure to tell me. I'll deal with them for you, Sean hinted with a meaningful look. Benjamin shot him a glare in response. Sean backed down and waved his hand. Well, you two hurry back. No need for an escort. Chapter 1318. Benjamin carried Orissa all the way to the hospital's entrance, where Ethan was already waiting. When he saw them coming out, he quickly opened the car door. Mr. Graham, Mrs. Graham. Benjamin nodded and placed Orissa in the car. Orissa was wrapped up so tightly that she was sweating, but she managed to greet Ethan. Good morning, Ethan. Good morning, Mrs. Graham. Ethan held his hand above the car roof, smiling as he responded. After ensuring Orissa was settled in the car and in his arms, Benjamin instructed Ethan, back to Yaleview. Yes, Mr. Graham. Ethan carefully closed the car door and walked around to the driver's seat. Don't move too much. Benjamin felt Orissa fidgeting in his arms and adjusted her clothes. Orissa felt quite stuffy. I'm a bit hot. Benjamin told Ethan in front, lower the air conditioning. Of course. Ethan quickly lowered the temperature by a couple of degrees and turned to ask them, is this temperature okay, Mrs. Graham? Orissa nodded in a daze and casually replied, it's fine. She turned to glare at Benjamin. She could have just taken off her coat if she wasn't hot, and there was no need to lower the air conditioning. Benjamin lowered his gaze, looking at her displeased expression, and his lips curled up as he lightly grazed her cheek. I promised to get you discharged and back home, aren't you happy? HMPH. Orissa scoffed softly. Despite her irritation, she couldn't help but feel happy about returning home soon. Benjamin pinched her nose playfully, teasing her. If you're so unhappy, how about we go back to the hospital for a little while longer? No way. Orissa quickly refused. She had been in the hospital every day, and she was almost going crazy. Even if it was for her health, she needed to be at home where she was most comfortable. Benjamin's lips curled up, and he held her in his arms. How about taking a nap then? I'm not sleepy. Orissa leaned against him, looking out of the car window at the bustling street scenes, trying to soak in the liveliness. Benjamin glanced at her and then out of the car window, not finding anything particularly interesting. Ethan drove smoothly but not too fast, taking about half an hour to get from the hospital back to Yaleview. The butler, along with the housekeepers and Mary, were waiting at the entrance to welcome them home. Mr. Graham, Mrs. Graham, you're back. Edwin smiled warmly, showing concern for Orissa. Orissa exchanged greetings with them and was happy to be home. Let's all go inside. Mrs. Graham, step over the brazier. Edwin pointed to the brazier placed in front. It was a symbolic ritual of warding off evil and ensuring safety. Yes, Isa, step over it and then come inside. Mary also smiled and reminded her. Orissa was being carried by Benjamin, and she understood the significance. She looked at her husband. Is it okay if I carry her over it? Benjamin asked Edwin, not objecting. Edwin smiled and nodded, saying, that works too, as long as both of you have crossed it. Young master, please go ahead. Benjamin carried Orissa, took a long stride, and stepped over the brazier before heading inside. Once they were inside, Edwin instructed the staff to clear it away. With Orissa's discharge and return home, the Graham residence was bustling with activity. Everyone was in the kitchen preparing delicious food. Benjamin carried Arissa back to the bedroom and helped her change into a clean set of pajamas. My clothes aren't dirty. Do I really need to change? Arissa looked at him, not as obsessed with cleanliness as he was. We just came from the hospital. It's more comfortable to change, Benjamin replied while changing her clothes. Arissa thought it made sense. Benjamin placed her discarded clothes to the side and poured her a glass of water. All right, don't overexert yourself. Take a rest, Arissa said as she took a sip of water. Okay, Benjamin agreed and went to change his own clothes. After changing, he came out of the bathroom with a towel and began to clean Arissa's face. Arissa chuckled as she watched him and reached out to help wipe her face. All done. Benjamin turned to hang up the towel. Chapter 1319. Mr. Graham, should I place the documents and laptop in your study or bedroom? Ethan asked. Even though his voice had rung out from the doorway, his figure was nowhere in sight. As it turned out, he had deliberately stood clear of the door, careful not to intrude on Benjamin's privacy. Bring them in, Benjamin ordered as he turned toward the door. Realizing that the man wanted to work in the bedroom, Arissa spoke up. Shouldn't you head to the study instead? How can you work in the bedroom? With the documents and laptop still in his hands, Ethan suddenly froze when he heard Arissa's words. Unsure if he should do as instructed, he stood at the door and watched the couple. It's convenient to work in the room, Benjamin retorted before buttoning up his shirt and gesturing for Ethan to enter. What? How is this convenient? Arissa said incredulously. There isn't even a desk in the bedroom. He'd have to sit on the couch to read his documents. Upon hearing that, Benjamin glanced at her. It'd be convenient for me to take care of you. A warm and fuzzy feeling instantly washed over Arissa. Despite that, she still wanted Benjamin to do his work in the study. Since we're all at home, I'll call you if I need help. Besides, you tend to disturb my rest when you're on your phone. Arissa grumbled. Benjamin shot another look at her. Oh, so you find me annoying? Arissa laughed. No, of course not. I don't want you to be distracted, and I can also enjoy a quiet rest. After much deliberation, Benjamin finally relented and turned to his assistant. Ethan, take all these to the study. Ethan had just set everything down, but now, he had to pick them up again and head to the study. Have a good rest, Mrs. Graham. I shan't disturb you further. Arissa hummed in acknowledgement as Benjamin sat down by the bed and held her hand. Do you need to use the bathroom? You'd better run along and take care of your business. The woman said smilingly with a shake of her head. Give me a shout or call my phone if you need anything, Benjamin reminded, gently squeezing her fingers. I know, I'm at home, for goodness sake. Of course, I'd shout for help if anything happened, Arissa replied coyly. Go, get on with your work, and don't worry about me. Even so, Benjamin accompanied her for a while before readying himself to attend to his work. Since he had gone to bed early the night before and hadn't dealt with many documents in the morning, it was no surprise that quite a bit of work had piled up. The next second, Benjamin closed the door for Arissa and dropped one last reminder. Don't get out of bed on your own. Got it, Arissa reassured as she waved her hand. I'll stay in bed. Upon seeing her lying comfortably in bed, Benjamin finally felt at ease enough to tackle his workload. Meanwhile, Arissa rubbed the blanket and sniffed it. Not only were there no musty odors, but she could also clearly pick up the comforting smell of sunshine. Ah, it must have been either Edwin or Grandaunt who sunned the blanket earlier. As Arissa basked in the comfort of being at home, a contented smile unknowingly spread across her face. It's true. There's no place like home. It was unclear whether Benjamin had given specific instructions, but since Mary didn't once barge into the room to nag at Arissa, the latter soon drifted off to sleep. Over at school, Regan approached the children as soon as their classes ended, a friendly smile etched on his face. Sweethearts, how about I take you guys out for a meal? Does that sound good? Unfortunately, none of the 6 children bought it and rolled their eyes in unison. Regan didn't know their names, either, so after scrutinizing all 6 of them, he decided Tim would be his best bet and smiled at him. Come on, I'll treat you guys to some delicious food. The restaurants outside are much better than your school cafeteria. Have you tried the food at our school? Tim asked with a frown. After all, the food in their cafeteria was by no means inferior and was even tastier than what one might find at some restaurants. Regan naturally hadn't tried it before, so he offered a sheepish smile. I've never had it, but you guys must be tired of eating the same food daily, right? Are you tired of eating at home? Tim retorted. Despite being taken aback by the sharp response, Regan continued coaxing his grandchildren to join him for a meal outside. Well, let's go eat something different. We're not going to eat with you, Gavin suddenly interrupted as he glared at the elderly man. I'll get someone to throw you out if you don't stop badgering us. Chapter 1320. The smile on Regan's face froze. My, this kid's aura is strikingly similar to Benjamin's. If it weren't for his small stature, I'd have thought it was Benjamin talking to me. As your grandfather, I just wanted to buy you kids a meal. That's all. By then, Regan had noticed that the children had bodyguards protecting them and was genuinely worried that if he pushed their buttons, they might get the bodyguards to throw him out. That, without a doubt, would be utterly embarrassing. Jasper couldn't help but snort at Regan. Zachary, however, realized Regan wasn't giving up anytime soon and began to devise a plan in his mind. Soon, he broke into a smile and made it a point to use a much friendlier tone. Are you really buying us a meal? Ha, Regan probably couldn't get to Mommy, so he came looking for us here. I can't believe he even bothered to wait this long. There's no way he has no ulterior motives. In any case, the thought of him bullying Mommy makes my blood boil. It's time for me to stand up for her and teach him a lesson. Of course, Regan said as he leaned down and smiled at Zachary, thinking the boy had given in. However, when he heard what his grandson said next, the corners of his mouth immediately twitched. Okay, but we don't feel like going out, Zachary said, nodding sagely. How about this? Since you're eager to treat us to a meal, why not convert that sentiment into a cash gift? That way, we can head out to eat whenever we want to. You've already said you're our grandfather, so you won't refuse to give us money, will you? Seeing the expression on Regan's face start to crack, Gavin and the others secretly gave Zachary a thumbs up. Wow, Zachary sure is full of ideas. With that, the children gazed at Regan, their faces filled with anticipation, making it hard for him to even think of turning them down. Besides, he was eager to foster a deeper bond with the little ones, so he gladly agreed to the request. All right, I'll give the money to you guys. Let me know when you feel like heading out for a meal. As Regan took out his wallet, a glint flashed across Zachary's eyes, and he began to put on a pitiful act. It's your first time giving us money, so please don't be stingy. We enjoy eating at restaurants like Drawbridge Dining. If you give us too little, we'll have to cover the rest of the bill ourselves. Can you imagine how embarrassing it'd be if we didn't have enough money? Regan was about to give the children the few thousand he had in his wallet, only to hesitate after hearing Zachary complain that it was too little. Needless to say, he didn't want to risk losing his face in front of them. I don't have a lot of cash on me today. How about I make it up to you the next time? Oh, well, I guess I have to go along with their wishes if I want to win their affection. If someone were to ask me how much money Granddad gave me, I think I'd be too embarrassed to tell them. The other kids would laugh at me. Zachary muttered, looking incredibly solemn and troubled. Gavin, Tim, Oliver, Jasper, and Jesse quickly nodded and chimed in, yes. People will make fun of us. Regan looked at them and slowly stuffed the money back into his wallet. You can transfer the money to us. We all have phones, Zachary suggested before pulling up his own payment code. Alternatively, you can transfer the full sum to me, and I'll split it evenly with the others. 10,000 for each person should be enough. Regan gaped at the boy. 10,000. Oh, my goodness. That's 60,000 for all 6 of them. Does it cost that much to have a meal? It's okay if you can't bear to part with the money, but that also means you can't see us anymore. After all, Mommy will be upset if she learns about this. Moreover, everyone knows that a meal at Drawbridge Dining costs tens of thousands. Have you never eaten there before? Seeing the questioning looks on the children, Regan felt a blush creep up his cheeks. Of course I have, for many times. Truth be told, he had only visited Drawbridge dining a few times, and it was always with his clients. As much as he hated to admit it, he'd be reluctant to patronize the restaurant if he didn't have his company. Absorb the expenses. Every meal he had there cost at least 100,000, and that was when no one drank. When they did, however, the bill went up even more. Exactly. Meals there aren't cheap, but the food is delicious, and we all enjoy it, Zachary said before sighing. Let's forget about it if you're reluctant. We don't have to go out to eat.